Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for another action figure review. This time we're going to be diving into the second wave of the Black Series archive line from Star Wars. But before we do so, I want to make sure everyone has subscribed to this channel, you've liked it, you're turned on your push notifications so that way whenever a new video drops, you will be first in line to leave your like, your comment, and to share it with other people. And without further ado, let's dive into this wave to see what it has to offer.
And starting off with the figure that has the absolute most to gain from the new facial printing technology that Hasbro is offering, that is our little green friend Yoda. When the original figure was released back in 2014, as you can see on the back of the box, the paint applications was subpar to say the least, and frankly downright terrifying when you look at the eyes. They were all bug-eyed, and I'm actually going to put the original on the screen so that you can see it, and that is not a good representation of who our Grand Master is. And I'm happy that he was selected for this wave to get another shot at not only distribution to those that weren't able to collect him, but to do the paint application right. He does come with the callback to the original Kenner line. He has his stick, he has the soft goods, and he does have the snake around the neck. But the one thing that does bother me about this figure is a little bit nitpicky, I'm sure, but if you are a Star Wars enthusiast like me, he does come with his green lightsaber. And you say, well, what's the problem with that? Well, that is because he lost that lightsaber on Coruscant when he was fighting Darth Sidious, and this is the likeness from the original trilogy. And as you know, he did not take that with him to Dagobah, so I have a little bit of a problem as to why that was included with this figure. Now, I know that's just nitpicking and being silly, but this is an amazing figure, and I'm so glad that we have him to add to our collection. And next up in the wave, we have Darth Maul, one of the original releases all the way back in 2013 when Star Wars announced the Black Series. They had the orange packaging back then, and I actually have the original release. And when I compared the two, I didn't really notice much of a difference. The only thing that I could see, perhaps, was in the eye paint application, and I think that just goes to show you how much attention to detail the original release had and how well that figure was crafted. Now, there is some things about this figure I do not like. Because these are the original molds, if you happen to look at the bottom of the foot or on the leg, you'll notice that it says 2013, 2014, depending on what figure you're looking at. And that's because these are the original molds that just simply went through a new paint application process. So with that being said, the flaws in the original character are going to show up in this one. And the thing I do not like about this figure in general is how terrible the articulation is around the legs and specifically around the feet. He comes with big clunky boots, and in order to pose or stand him is quite a difficult task. Even getting him up on the platform here was tough for me to do, and that's a shame because Darth Maul is known for his acrobatics and for his maneuverability, and to be a figure like that that's very hard to pose is a little bit depressing. Now, he does come with everything that the original release does have. He does come with the alternate hooded head that is simply on a peg and wrapped in the other cowl, and you can just simply pop the other head off and put the other one on, and that is the one I have currently displayed with the original release on my Sith Dark Side shelf that I may show you some other time. He does come with his double-bladed lightsabers that do separate, as well as the viewfinder that he uses on Tatooine. Now, I will say about the viewfinder, this version does look to be a little more weathered, so that is the only other difference that I see from this figure. But this is a hard one that was tough to run down back in the day, and it's awesome for those that were not able to get it to be able to add this one to the collection. And next up in this wave is the chosen one, Anakin Skywalker. Now, this is another Orange Series release from the original Black Series all the way back in 2014, and the last time I checked, this was the highest priced figure on the aftermarket resellers list and was very difficult to come by without shelling out a pretty penny. I was never able to run down this one originally, and I was so glad when they announced that he was going to be added to the archive wave. He does come with the Anakin Skywalker lightsaber, and he does come with an additional head sculpt, the dark side head sculpt that does have the orange kind of glowing Sith eyes. And that's a neat feature to be able to add so that you can have his duel with Obi-Wan and recreate that duel on Mustafar. Overall, I think that there is still some improvements that could be made to this head sculpt, but as far as a 6-inch Anakin Skywalker, this definitely takes the cake, and I'm certainly glad to add the chosen one to my collection. And finally, rounding out this wave is my personal favorite trooper in all of Star Wars, the Scout Trooper from Return of the Jedi and the Battle of Endor. As I've said, this is my favorite trooper, so I actually bought 2 of these as soon as they became available so that I could army build and I could do some neat toy photography with this one. Now, back in 2014, when it was first released, it was one of the first vehicle sets that actually came out. So unless you're willing to shell out to get one of the vehicles, you were not going to be able to get this figure. And so I was so glad to hear that Hasbro was going to add this one to the archive wave, and as soon as it was announced, I knew that this was going to be my pride and joy from that wave. I love the texture of the suit. I love the weathering on the legs to give it that dirty, grungy look. He does come with his little tiny mini pistol that happens to fit perfectly in his hand, as well as his ankle strap. And as I've said, I've gushed enough about this figure, but this one is totally awesome. And if you're an army builder, if you're a trooper aficionado, you definitely want to add this one to the collection. Awesome job, Hasbro, for re-releasing this figure and giving collectors and obsessors like me another opportunity to own this amazing trooper.
And wrapping up quickly with some final thoughts on this archive series, wave number 2 from Star Wars. I think Hasbro absolutely knocked this one out of the park, and I don't mean just with the paint application, but in the character selection themselves. The first wave they released was a little bit suspect, focusing mainly on some bounty hunters I think that not the average person would really relate to or even know, but every single figure in this wave is a well-known character that it exists in the Star Wars universe, and I think that's going to be awesome, not just for the hardcore fan, but for the average consumer as well. I'd like to know down in the comments what you think that Star Wars will do for wave number 3 from the archive series, which I'm sure that they certainly will do. Which character would you like to see? Would you like to maybe even see a new re-released vehicle? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you've not done so already, make sure to subscribe to this channel, turn on your push notifications so that you know exactly when a new video drops, and I will see you soon in the next video to follow.